So what's your go-to plan or what's your tips that you kind of follow?
Okay, so here's the breakdown. You have to do different content based on the platform because what's going to work on a TikTok is not going to work on LinkedIn or vice versa.
Fine, I think people are here to get an intake about what kind of videos does ADWEEK do and what kind of videos do you make.
Like these mini mic behind the scene interviews in the green room. I think one thing
Mhm.
that's fun about social is really bringing people like behind the scenes and taking them to a place where they couldn't go even if they did attend the event.
Coming 2025, which platforms do you think would kind of boost or we can see a lot of audience base? Is it going to be Instagram? Is it going to be Threads that's going to take up? Or it's still going to be LinkedIn, the game of the hour?
Reasons, we saw a huge exodus of brands and big creators on Twitter after Elon Musk bought the platform. It just wasn't really brand safe to be on.
Hi everyone, welcome to the Social Pilot webinar. I am Diksha Singhal, Social Media Manager at Social Pilot, and I'm super pumped today to be here with you all today. For those new here, Social Pilot is a leading social media management platform that helps agencies and businesses streamline their social media platforms, and we are trusted by over 13,500 marketers worldwide. And today's webinar is a part of our commitment to helping you master social media strategies. So I think now it's really awesome to meet you all. And today we are diving into the topic of maximizing your event's impact on social media tactics with event conferences. A topic that's crucial for anyone looking to amplify their event's reach and engagement across platforms. And now, let me introduce our special guest for the day, Sami Lambert, the director of social media at ADWEEK. And Sami is an absolute rock star when it comes to creating killer social media content for industry events. She socializes editorial magazines, podcasts, events, and video content. And she is the person, the lady behind Ink Magazine's growth on TikTok from 30 followers to 1.7 M in a year. And never enough to talk about her. She is here to share her top strategies and tips to help you level your own event coverage. Sami, welcome from the team Social Pilot.
Hello, you make me sound so cool. Thanks for having me. So honored, excited to talk about, yeah, social at events.
Definitely, I'm excited too, and it's a pleasure to have you here today. And I think everybody is excited here so much. We can definitely see in the Q&As people introducing themselves. So how do you feel about the day and this webinar today?
I'm so excited. I love talking about social, especially with people who understand it, and who are chronically online. So I feel like this is the perfect place to be.
Amazing, amazing. I think we are all pumped up for this webinar and I'm so excited. So I think let's just get into something about yourself and like how did your AdWeek's journey start and what does your day look like? Something across those lines.
Awesome. Yeah, well, my name's Sammy, guys. Hello. Feel free to like ask questions as we go because I tend to just yap away. But I started in social over 10 years ago now. I think I was in university when I started like interning for a lot of places. Social media wasn't really as big back then, obviously. We were like on Tumblr and Vine back in the day. I did one really amazing internship with Viacom, which is now Paramount Plus. And I think that's when I knew I wanted to go more into like the media and entertainment space. I then took a break where I lived in Europe for 5 years and kind of was out of corporate America. And then, as you said, I worked at Inked Magazine where I really focused on their TikTok page. It's when TikTok first started, and we'll get more into that later. And then almost 3 years ago, I joined Adweek from Inked, and I had to like really learn about the marketing industry because previously I was way more in the entertainment space, and it's been like a journey. And Adweek is huge in terms of like the content that it produces. And you mentioned earlier we have like a weekly print or monthly print magazine. I work very closely with our newsroom who's producing content all day long, honestly. So I work very closely with the journalists to get that content out. But then we also have these huge industry events. We also have podcasts. there's a marketing team, there's branded content. So it really opened the doors and opened my eyes to like there's so much different types of content that I needed to post, but events are a really, really big part of it. So I'm excited to like just focus on events day. It's gonna be great.
I think that's really amazing. And that's a really kind of insight about you and your work. That's really amazing to know that. So, just diving in a bit, I would really want to know that what kind of events does AdWeek usually comes up with, and how does your process looks like? What kind of like what's the procedure and something on those lines?
Yeah, so AdWeek hosts a lot of industry specific events. Year by year, it changes the exact event that happens per month or per year because it depends on leadership and budget and what the trending topics are. But this year, I can tell you our two biggest events are Brand Week and Social Media Week. Brand Week happens, I mean, it used to happen in Miami. This year was in Arizona. Social Media Week is here in New York. And then we also have things like Media Week, Commerce Week, Convergent TV, Outlook. And the event structure is very similar, though. It's panel style sessions, fireside chats, or interviews. There's usually like 2 to 5 people up on stage with a topic that they're talking about. And there'll be a moderator, host kind of person who's asking everybody questions and getting insights. And usually the panelists are industry professionals from their field, and the events follow a theme. So Brand Week is all about brands and marketing. Social Media Week is about social media. Convergent TV was about the television industry. And so they usually follow a general theme, but we do have a big events team, I would say, who do most of the work leading up and during the event. And my work really comes
Mm-hmm.
in when the event's happening and it's time to socialize it. Except for
Mm-hmm.
Social Media Week that's coming up, they really brought me in ahead of time to help with programming because they're like, who knows a lot about social media? It's me
Right,
and my team. We all know, and we're giving pitches of like,
right,
oh, this would be cool to talk about this year. This is what's been trending. These are big brands or creators or platforms that we really should discuss. So it's been really cool to like be on the other side of
correct.
ahead of the event programming it instead of just seeing what happens after or during and after. But that's usually how it goes. Like Social Media Week now is in May, and we're already starting to talk about programming. So it really does start months ahead of time.
All right. I think Brand Week is something that I've been following for a while now, and it has its own fan base on across socials and across like all the social media marketers out there. And personally, it's my personal favorite as well. So definitely love your work across promoting the events and having all the content around Brand Week, and super excited for socials as well. So, like, I would want to understand when you say that, you kind of look after the socializing part of these events, so what kind of strategy do you have across like multi-platform coverage? How do you try to manage a multi-platform coverage? Because these days, like marketers do face a lot of difficulties in terms of having presence across different platforms, especially when it comes to event coverages. So what's your go-to plan, or what's your tips that you kind of follow?
Okay, so here's the breakdown. You have to do different content based on the platform because what's going to work on a TikTok is not going to work on LinkedIn or vice versa. So, what I usually do and think, remember that this is like, I guess, an industry event style conference where there's like panels and sessions. LinkedIn's Adweek's biggest social platform, which no company I've ever worked for or brand has LinkedIn has the most followers and the most engagement. So I really do try to put a lot of effort into our LinkedIn. And also for Adweek specifically, we're bringing together industry professionals and then everyone who's attending, all of like the attendees are also industry professionals. And they're probably going to post on LinkedIn about this conference more than they're going to post on Instagram, although we are trying to create like Instagrammable moments as well. It's just the nature of the event. So for LinkedIn, I make sure to always get a really good photo of what's happening on stage via photographers or our own phones, have a description of the event, and then during the actual session, we'll be taking live notes and getting really, really good quotes, adding the quote, tagging all the speakers, tagging all the companies, and making sure that's going up almost as live as we can, as quickly as we can.
Right,
And every single
right,
session will get its own post because, people want to share these things when they're on stage. It's like a pretty cool experience. And then people who
correct,
are attending can kind of look back and take some key takeaways that they might have missed if they like missed a session or, you're paying attention, but you're sitting through like 7 hours of sessions a day. And then it also
correct,
creates
correct.
a kind of like FOMO, or if you're not there, you can kind of understand what the day was like. So we do that on LinkedIn. We used to do that more on Twitter, but I don't focus as much on Twitter anymore. We can get into that later if we want to. So that's the
Sure,
LinkedIn
definitely.
strategy. Yeah, that's a LinkedIn strategy where we really give each session like a lot of love in its own post. For
Mm-hmm.
Instagram, I usually will do like a photo and video dump of the day, being like, here's what happened today. I'm just gonna do like a carousel, a mixture of like photos and videos and behind the scenes and things like that. I feel like photo dumps usually do pretty well on Instagram, and it just like is aligned to that platform specifically. And then I would say the biggest thing I brought in during my time at ADWEEK is really these short form videos. They kind
Mm-hmm.
of take a life of their own because they can be posted both to Instagram and LinkedIn, but also posted to
Right.
YouTube Shorts and TikTok. And there's kind of three different types of videos I do at events. One is simply taking a video of someone on stage. You crop it to an in like the best moment or something crazy that they said or something insightful or a hot topic. And then you just crop it, throw some captions on it, post away. That's super easy. It's content that already happened. It's like happening in front of our eyes. They're saying already really insightful things. So it's pretty, the hardest part is just to know when to hit record because you can't record every single session on your phone. It's just like too
Correct.
much storage. And also, I'm trying to get live quotes at the same time. So the tricky part is knowing when to record. But I've sat through so many sessions at this point. I feel like I have a sixth sense now of like when something good is about to
Right.
be said. The other video type is doing like these mini mic behind the scene interviews in the green room. I think one thing
Mm-hmm.
that's fun about social is really bringing people like behind the scenes and taking them to a place where they couldn't go even if they did attend the event. So we do get to ask like more fun questions, maybe a little bit lighter, maybe a little bit more social first in those videos rather than the heavy duty like marketing content that's on stage. These are kind of where we have fun organically and we can come up with questions or trends that we know are going to hit on social. And then the third one is like a vlog style video, which I've started
Right.
hosting now, being like, hey guys, it's day 2 at Brand Week. Let's take you around everything that we did today. And it'll kind of be like a minute to 90-second long, literally like, and then we did this, and then we went here, and then we met this person, then we did this. And you can see those on our page. I'll drop links in later for you guys, but that's kind of like more encompassing of, first of all, what social videos are like these days. And also, I think it's really
Correct.
great to like really understand not just like what one session was, but what the entire day looks like, including like maybe there's networking events or happy hours or like a
Right.
celebrity sighting or things like that. So those have been the three different types of videos that I can kind of always look to when it's no matter which event it is. If it's a brand week, if we're in Cannes, if we're social media week, I can kind of do those three types no matter where.
I
Sorry, that
think
was a long
these
answer.
three That's fine. I think people are here to get an intake about what kind of videos does Adweek do and what kind of videos do you make. And I think that was a great insight. With that, I have a very curious question of mine that, when you talk about videos, so to have a video or to have a plan for video in scale or have a scale plan for these kind of videos, right? So how do you kind of edit or make sure that these videos go in quick and you kind of scale the video content across different platforms because we know that video content is just nailing on all the platforms and being linked in now kind of promoting short videos a lot. So ideally video used to take a lot of time in terms of editing or making. So how do you kind of scale these videos, quickly edit and make and create and just kind of what kind of potential advice would you give people to scale on videos?
One thing is, it seems very like in the moment, but they're actually quite planned, and we'll have documents ahead of time, even for the LinkedIn posts. Once you have the event schedule, you know who's going to be on stage or who's going to be in the like behind backstage before they go on stage. So we'll make a full list
Hmm.
of everyone who's going to be at the event, and we'll like I'll be like, okay, let's do a daily vlog where we're going to do this and this. Let's talk to this person and this person. Events team, can you
Hmm.
reach out to them and let them know we want to do a video with them? Let's ask them this question. We'll kind of do the research ahead of time on deep dive on each person. We'll go through their LinkedIn profiles and YouTube videos and their Instagrams to try to figure out questions we can ask them that would make a good social video. And then there's key
Hmm.
sessions where we're like, okay, we should definitely sit in on this session to make sure we record. Depending on
Correct.
the scale of the event and the budget and the video type, I prefer always to have a social video editor on deck. So I'm literally
Hmm.
dropping footage as we're getting it, and someone else can quickly edit and send it back to me for a review, and then I can review it
Mhm.
and send. However, we have so many events and some of them are smaller and we don't have the budget. So when the budget allows, probably a few times a year, I'll have a social video editor on site. I'll literally be WhatsApping back and forth, being like, okay, the video's in, this is in, and they'll just like quickly be editing. Always with this, my biggest advice is to hire someone who knows how to edit for social. I think editing social video is like a whole different ballgame than editing long form or even YouTube videos. And I've worked with so many video editors, and the ones that get it, and you don't have to give a lot of feedback. And the ones that are used to more longer form editing, it's a little bit more difficult, especially if they don't spend a lot of time scrolling on social videos. It's nuance. Like, you need to have a hook, you need to have an opener, you need to have quick
Correct, correct.
like certain like sounds and memes that can pop up. And I think you can definitely put that into the brief, and it helps too to have those things. But when you're at a live event, you sometimes don't know what's going to happen. You don't know the
Right.
footage that you get. And to have the confidence of like, I'm going to drop this person this footage and they're kind of going to they're going to know what to do without me even like
Mm-hmm.
saying it. And of course
Correct.
we go back and forth a little with feedback, but that's my biggest advice. If you don't have a social editor, which a lot of times we don't, um, and the event's not doesn't have any breaking news, you just need to spend the day getting the content, honestly, and then you can spend the next day editing it is my biggest suggestion if it's
Okay.
not anything like
Okay.
breaking. Or I usually will pick one or two things that are like really, really important that will probably hit the best, do them that day. And a lot of them can be easy lifts. Like if you just need to throw captions on a video, crop it, you can then cap cut, throw the captions on it, post it. Anything that needs more nuanced editing, or like, there's a lot of different editing styles you can do.
Right.
Sometimes that takes time. You need to let your editors cook, or you need to let yourself edit and give that the time that it needs, as long as there's not like a million other people posting the same thing that you're about to post or waiting for the content. Um, I think
I think
that's my advice.
Um, so, so it was a great insight, definitely, when you were kind of breaking down more about how do you take these videos and kind of scale them. So, I see that you have mentioned a couple of like people, like video editors, or people who can review, or reviewers at different stages. So, would definitely want to deep dive into what kind of timelines do you have before the event? What does your workflow look like? What is the dream team structure that looks like? And how do you kind of make sure that everything is there prepared pre-event, and what kind of activities are there pre-event, what kind of people are involved in the process or the workflow?
Sounds good. Yeah, I say I start a social copy document, and then I also start a social video document probably about a month out. And then as the event session descriptions and attendees start to fill out, I start putting them into our documents, our social team documents. It's probably not even until like 2 weeks or even a week out, because things change last minute all the time. So it's like, as prepared as I want to be, so much of it's probably not going to get done until the last minute. And not because I don't like, I would rather have it done early, but with events, things just change all the time. So I would say
Correct.
2 weeks out is when we really start to like, okay, let's change these session descriptions into social copy. We're going to pre-write for LinkedIn or for Twitter. Like, we're going to pre-write it all because we kind of know what the session's about.
Mm-hmm.
And that way, when it's
Correct.
time to actually post, we have the session description that we turn into like present tense, and we add the right hashtags and we tag everybody. And then we can just add in a quote live, and then it's like good to go. So we prep that all ahead of time, because it's like when there's back to back set panels and sessions and happy hours and like networking breaks, you don't have that much time to actually like write copy, to be honest. And the last thing your brain is going to want to do is write copy. So the more things you can do ahead of time, I would highly recommend. I also go through every single speaker and we find all of their social profiles. That goes ahead and goes in the doc. We'll also go through and do this deep dive on every speaker, and anyone that we're like, oh, they're going to be really good. Maybe they have a lot of followers. Maybe they're really good on camera. We're going to pick those people out and make sure that we're not giving ourselves too much work, but there's enough to make some cool videos, things like that. And then we're going to think about questions that we can ask that make a good social video. I would love to do like more TikTok trends with these people, but imagine
Mm-hmm.
asking like a older CMO to do a dance or
Correct.
to lip sync is a little bit difficult. And especially they usually only have about like I would say 5 minutes after their session wraps up before they need to like go
Right,
back to work or get on a flight. And the celebrities are even worse. Like you have to send their team the plan for approval, everything fun and cool you want to do, they say no
right,
to. You have literally 3 minutes to get the content and go. It's like really upsetting because you're like, oh, we could have done really cool things. So if you ever see social like brands or
mm,
social teams do really cool things with celebrities, just know that they went through so much to get there. Like it's not usually not off the cuff. But yeah, so we figured like these question answer formats are just safe if we can't do anything like super silly or trendy. And our audience really does want to know about marketing and marketing news. So
right.
yeah, so it's helpful to do it that way. But yeah, all this gets planned ahead of time. So by the time we get to the event, we kind of know exactly who we're talking to and when, which posts are going to go out, when we need to put them out, and we're in the audience all day or behind the scenes all day, running around and also posting at the same time. It's actually really crazy. Like you're doing everything at the same time.
I think when you're talking about doing everything at the same time and a lot of things moving around at the same time, team going here and there, so there can be a point where I think like a kind of emergency protocol. So do you have any kind of emergency protocols in scenarios when something goes wrong or something just goes live on socials while you're there on the during the event? And that has maybe a typo, for example, the biggest, I think, pain of SMMs, right?
Yeah.
So, any memorable stories around it? I would want to know that first. And then, how do you kind of have that kind of protocol with you?
Um, for me, I feel like when I was younger in my career and someone would message me saying your post has a typo or like you tagged the wrong person, I swear my heart would drop to the floor. I would like start shaking and sweating. I'm like, oh my God, like freaking out, like truly freaking out. I feel like the longer you do this and the more mistakes you make, I'm just like, my heart doesn't skip a beat. I'm like, okay, I'll take it down. All right, I'll edit it. As long as it's not like a sponsored post and people are really scared, like everything's gonna be okay. So I just like take a deep breath, update the post or delete it and repost it. Like sometimes I'll even like if it's a typo in a caption of a video and the video's been up for like an hour, that typo is staying there. I don't care. I'm like, it's not a big deal. There's typos in the closed captioning all the time. As long as it's not something like offensive or hurtful, I'm like, it just doesn't matter enough to take down the whole video and send it back to the editor, have me go back into the editing and update it. I just think it's like not that serious. And in social, the posts just go by so quickly. I think little mistakes happen and sometimes it's okay, but if you can fix it, fix it. So yeah, I just don't want anyone like to freak out or cry or anything over like a mistake. It just doesn't, I just don't think it's that serious. In terms of making mistakes, I think we tag so many people and companies and so many posts in a day. Like I'm trying to figure out to do less posts in a day, but there's like dozens and dozens going out. So of course some of them are going to be wrong. So I think honestly, it's like there's four different companies that have the same name and you tag the wrong one, like you just update the tag, you know? Those ones are like low lift. Sometimes there's like I don't know. I was supposed to mention a sponsor and I didn't mention the sponsor, and then that's pretty bad. And that I'll go back and fix right away. But luckily, all my team has me on Slack and on my phone. So I'm like, if there's anything really bad, like just let me know and I will fix it. I think the a fun story of a mistake. I have two. One I made at Inked when I worked at Inked magazine. A lot of what my job was to repost really good tattoos that people did. So much of my day was scrolling through like Instagram and tattoo artist
Mhm.
page and tattoo shop page and finding really cool tattoos and reposting it to ADWEEK's pages. That's just how it
Okay.
worked. And that was like the not original content that we did. And then we did a lot of original content too. Anyway, a lot
Okay.
of like pop culture posts and tattoos always are the best, obviously, because like everyone loves the pop culture. And I would schedule all the posts out. We did like a post an hour. There were so many, right? And I would schedule them out for the weekend too. So I was just always scheduling out posts. And I remember I there was like a huge back tattoo I posted, and the copy was like really cool Dumbledore tattoo by whatever this tattoo artist is. And the next day I go on and there's like literally like 3,000 comments because it wasn't a Dumbledore tattoo. It was Gandalf from Lord of the Rings. And everyone was so angry and like coming for me so hard in the caption. I mean, in the comments. And I was just like, oh my God, that was a pretty bad mistake. And I just said sorry in in the comments and was like, LOL, whoops, like sorry about it. But to wake up to see like thousands of comments telling you you're dumb because it was Gandalf and not Dumbledore, like my heart did drop then. And I made a few other mistakes like that with tattoos, like the tattoos I would post. I'd like if I didn't understand like something was like an anime reference or a certain style of tattooing, I would people would really call me out in the comments. And I'd like really learn a lot about tattooing. For marketing, it's a little bit I've been lucky that I have such a good newsroom and I can kind of learn a lot and take like write copy based on the articles that they're writing. But
Okay.
in terms of a live event, sorry, that wasn't an event story, but in terms of a live event at Brand Week, actually, I don't know if I'm allowed to say this, but I'm just gonna say it. Don't tell my boss. One of our speakers was Kiki Palmer, she's like literally amazing. I actually sat with her at dinner the night that she came to speak, and she's like so funny, so nice, like literally the most amazing person I've ever met. And I sat with her parents, like it was really cool. I was like, I can't believe I'm just like eating dinner next to Kiki Palmer is at our Brand Genius Gala. And she was like telling all these stories. Anyway, she was amazing, like 10 out of 10 human being. I'm like a lot of celebrities are not like that. But for her panel, she was supposed to come at a certain time in the green room and she was running really really late and we had no one to go on stage, so I was panicking, the events team was panicking. That's never happened. I've been to like dozens of Adweek events. No one's been so late that the panel's like going to start without them, so we're all panicking. And then they made a really good decision and they put everyone to like a networking break and then they came back, but I was like scrambling. And then when she came, so like the whole thing was fine, we just like moved everything a little bit back. And then I was like, oh my God, our social content, like we were supposed to get it before, but now she's gone. And that was one of the ones where I was like, she's probably going to have like the highest performing video of anyone from that event over the week. She was like probably the most famous person there. And she's so personable and funny. And so I was like, we've got to get the social content. I had to leave to go moderate a different panel at a different stage. And Bianca, who works for me, she's amazing, or works with me. She's our social editor. She's so good. I was like, okay, you got this. You're gonna have to do this by yourself. And this was her first Adweek event. And when she came off the stage, her team was like, no, we don't have time for social content. And Bianca was like, oh my God, what? And she was texting me like, they're not gonna have time. And I was like, okay, just ask. Like, we had this approved ahead of time. Like, just remind them it'll only take like 2 minutes. Like, be really nice about it. And so she ended up asking, being like, yeah, we got it all approved, blah, blah, blah. And then she ended up spending 2 minutes doing the social content. And then we got a really good video with her and it all went really well. But those kinds of things are really, really stressful. Like everything's running late. The one person you really wanted to do a video with is suddenly, and you don't talk to them directly, you talk to like their managers. So it's like their
Right.
managers saying no, you kind of have to like go back and forth. And I wasn't even there for that. So I was like, oh my God, I feel so helpless. Like I can't even help the situation. So that was a little bit stressful, but also I was like, if we didn't end up getting the video, it'd be a huge bummer, huge bummer. But also, like, no one's dying. It's not the end of the world. Like, I wouldn't want anyone to feel too stressed out about it. But yeah, that was very stressful. Like, me literally running away from the situation too, because I'd like go to a different stage to moderate. I was like, oh my God, I wish I could stay and figure this out.
I
So
think
yeah.
I think most of the marketers here out there can resonate to the situation when there is some kind of situation, some kind of situation that appears that we kind of get numb or we kind of don't know how to handle the situation and things goes out of the plan. It's all messed. But then I think these tips would be definitely helpful and understanding that, hey, we are still not going to lose it and it's not the end of the world, definitely.
Yeah. And also
So
like
that's
it's hard too because you don't want to be too like you're like you don't understand like I need this content like I need to do
right.
this, but you don't want to be too stressful or pushy. It's like a hard line to balance, or even getting people like I don't know who's in the chat, but if like trying to get like your employees at your job to like do a TikTok trend and like they clearly don't want to do it, but you're like, guys, I swear to God, if you're in this video, like it's gonna hit, it's gonna be so good. And like you're always kind of towing that line of please do this for me and with me and go on the internet. And then some people are like, I don't know if I want to do it. And it's like, how pushy do you actually be? But I think as long as you're like super friendly, you come prepared, you ask permission and consent, um, and also like showing examples is really helpful too, to be like, oh, it's going to be like this, kind of helps people get in the mood. Also, I think just having a conversation with someone off camera, so helpful.
Hmm.
Like, just how was your
Right.
day? Do you have kids? Like, love your shirt, like stuff like that, to just like get them chatting a little bit. And then you go in
Mhm.
with, do you want to do this video? Can we do this video? Instead of just being like, hi, and then like, can I film you right now? It's like, okay, it's like really intense, like coming at someone like this. And that's like at an event or at work or anything. So I think like remembering to treat people as human beings first, also like really, they're way more likely to help you out with social content than like running up to them with a phone.
I think I just resonated when I was starting my career with that. Hey, can I just have a video with you without just even trying to understand how the person is doing? I have done these kind of mistakes in the initial years of my career, and I think this is such a nostalgia. And okay, with that, I think we should be talking about a bit with our audience. So we have a couple of questions, and these are really good ones. So, okay, Stephanie is asking us that, hey, you mentioned CapCut. Any other tools you love for mobile usage to help with social post on the fly?
Yes, Canva's great. And I think setting one other thing that we do is we set up a template on Canva that has like the branding and space for a quote or a video and like the person's picture. And you can quickly drag and drop in for live events, like you can make like a few templates, and that's really good for LinkedIn and Instagram. So I think Canva's another really good one. Any form of like uh what are we called? Oh, it's called Otter, and it will record audio and live write it back to you. I think that also helps a lot if you need to like, it's hard sometimes to take live notes like this, or you can take a video and replay it back, but anything that can like record the audio and transcribe it for you is a really good thing. What else do I use? I can look. I think just having all the social platforms on is helpful, to be honest. Um, yeah, I don't think I have that many other like live editing things. Sorry, I'm just looking at
I
my
think
phone.
I just No problem. I think I have one other tool that my go-to tool is these days, that is Opus. I think it really helps to kind of have a lot of videos, because when we are doing events, we have a lot of videos and it can be a big footage as well. So Opus actually allows you to kind of make quick videos out of your longer form of videos. Now that's not sponsored, guys, but I am personally using it, so you can definitely give it a try. Cool. There is one more question from Stephanie that any tips for incorporating live streams? Okay, any tips for incorporating live interviews during events?
Live interviews are tricky because there's so much dead space in between, unless you're on like a red carpet where you have people continuously coming, and they're definitely going to come to you. There's so much dead space in between the people that you're interviewing. So I just make sure if you do that to have like a host that's really good at just filling up the space, or you have like filler people come in, because then it's like a lot of that dead time. But I do think you could also have like, I don't know, yeah, like a booth or like a room where you kind of have people filter through if you want to do live. I think we're going to be experimenting more with LinkedIn Live next year, which I'm excited about. And I think like live TikTok shopping and like live shopping in general next year is going to be huge. And I do think like I'm going to have to start learning how to be better at like producing these live streaming events. Uh, not just for AdWeek, but for the future of social. So honestly, I haven't done that many. I did a few things at Inked. It was more like live tattooing, which is a little bit easier, and we had to like keep talking the whole time. So I would just really prep like a lot of talking points and like charge whatever's recording because it lasts a really long time, and make sure that the noise is okay. But yeah, I think having like filler content is the key there. And making sure the people who are coming on knows it's live, and making sure you have a person who's not the host nearby who's like coordinating and briefing and bringing people over and things like that, because you don't want to be like on camera being like, yeah, next, oh, come here, oh, like things like that.
Right. I think that was really a great insight. And I would definitely want all the attendees or the viewers right here, all the marketers, that you can also maybe help us with some of your great tips that you're following in terms of any of these things. it would be a great interaction to have with you guys as well in the chats or the Q&A.
Yeah, if you guys have
With that,
experience with live, tell me, please. Give me tips because I think I'm gonna need them more.
definitely, I think that would be really helpful. With that, so Sami, you before our conversations, you just mentioned that you are kind of not focusing a much bit on like X or Twitter. Is there any specific reason that you are just focusing more on LinkedIn or Instagram? Is it just about your audience, the target, or is it just about the people who are more incorporated in these platforms? Or I've just come to know, like, it's been few months for a new platform that I came across that is Blue Sky Social. So is Blue Sky Social the new replacement of X? And that is the reason that you are not very being active on X, or is there something else?
This is like a very complicated question with the more complicated answer, but I think in terms of our audience and in terms of our website traffic for AdWeek specifically, LinkedIn has higher audience and a way higher referral website traffic. So right now, a big goal of our company is to get more page views. We are a legacy media company. Right now, in the last 5, 10 years, every single legacy media company is struggling because it's kind of shifted from social traffic to Google or no traffic, to be honest. Not no traffic, just a lot less social traffic than back
Hmm.
in like the 2010s and in the BuzzFeed days. So I think everyone's trying to grapple with this idea of how do we get people onto our website if it's not through social. We know that LinkedIn's our highest one, so we're going to put more of our focus on LinkedIn. And I personally had a really, I loved growing our Instagram presence because it's just turning it's like storytelling in a more visual way and kind of finding an audience who might not be subscribed and might not already be clicking on our website. Not only that, but um, we get so much more engagement on Instagram, like actual comments and conversations that are happening, and way more than I saw on Twitter. So, in terms of like pure strategy, focusing on like LinkedIn and Instagram for me has been really helpful, and that's where I've seen the most success. Um, in terms of more personal reasons, we saw a huge exodus of brands and big creators on Twitter after Elon Musk bought the platform. It just wasn't really brand safe to be on there. And we did have a really
Hmm.
big audience. So it's not that I stopped posting on Twitter. Or on X, we're actually still very active, where I do make sure that all of our stories do go live on there and our magazine issues are live on there. But we were doing a lot of community building in that space a few years ago. We had like live Twitter chats, we were live tweeting all of our events. And then when that switch happened, it just didn't seem to be the most brand safe thing to do. And it seemed like a lot of our audience also was kind of like, go moving away from the platform, which I think helped us with our LinkedIn followers and audience because I think a lot of people were using LinkedIn as well. In terms of Blue Sky, I started a Blue Sky account for Adweek like over a year ago, right before Threads dropped. Then I stopped using it when Threads dropped because we grew to I think we're like over 100,000 subscribers on Threads, which honestly I'm happy with. But lately, I've been thinking about posting more on Blue Sky and just seeing what happens. It's just almost a bandwidth issue at this point. It's like, how many more platforms can we possibly be posting on? And right now, it's me and Bianca. We're a team of two. And like, there's only so much we can do, especially as we're pivoting so much into video. Posting a tweet is way quicker than posting a short form video clip. And so I just don't want to
Absolutely.
I don't want to overwhelm us, and I also think sometimes brands jump on platforms way too quick. Like it's so great to be the first ones
Mm.
on there. I think there's a lot of benefits to that, but also it's like there's some benefits sometimes to feeling it out and seeing if it's the right platform for your brand. So I'm definitely keeping an eye out, especially with the latest election news and what's been happening. Definitely our Blue Sky account is active and something I'm really considering. But you guys will have to watch this space. I don't know exactly what I'm gonna do yet, or I'm not telling you guys yet.
I think we would love to know that, curiosity will be there amongst all the marketers here. But on that note, I would definitely want to understand from your perspective, like kind of an insight that coming 2025, which platforms you think would kind of boost or we can see a lot of audience base? Is it going to be Instagram? Is it going to be Threads that's going to take up? Or it's still going to be LinkedIn, the game of the hour? Any estimations around that?
It truly depends on your brand and your content type. If you're more in the B2B space, I think I think LinkedIn's really having a moment. And I've seen a lot of like the rise of this LinkedIn influencer. So if you're on B2B, I would recommend highly posting a ton on LinkedIn and getting your employees to post a lot on LinkedIn. I think there's like these employee influencer kind of things. We see a lot of our clicks and subscribers and like newsletter signups when our employees write about them, not even coming just from the ADWEEK account. So if you're in the B2B space, definitely put most of your eggs into LinkedIn. I think Instagram and TikTok aren't going anywhere. I think the algorithms might change slightly, but the videos are staying, the pictures are staying, and there's no harm in getting your follower engagement count up on there. Um, I have no idea what's going to happen with X. I'm like not feeling amazing about it, but I'm also quite biased in that opinion. So I
Mm-hmm.
can't really speak to that. And same with Threads. Like I think it was one of the most downloaded apps this year, which actually
Yeah.
surprised me because I feel like in the beginning it took off and then it kind of plateaued. But I think people do love a text-based um, social media app. And honestly, I think we're going to see something totally new. I know like last year we were thinking about like Lemon 8 and Be Real. And there was a few other ones that were like kind of new, but I don't know how sticky they were, but I really do think we're like in the time where something new will pop up. And I'm very curious to know what it is. I think it might have to do with real world connection somehow, because I think people are really craving that. And especially young people are
Mm-hmm.
craving that. So I don't know what that'll look like, but
Okay, I think that is something we can have from our audience as well. Guys, do drop in the Q&As that what platform do you think would have a rise in 2025? Would love to know your thoughts on this. Is it going to be LinkedIn, Instagram, TikTok, Threads, or X, or maybe any other new if you know? On that, Sami, you just mentioned about TikTok that it's going to be one of the like ever growing platforms, definitely as of now what we see, right? It's popular, it's funny, and it's got a great reach and audience. And we all know that you have kind of boosted growth for Inked magazine. So what were the key takeaways from your journey of making 30 followers to 1.7 followers just in a year? And was these key takeaways or strategies that you have implemented in ADWEEK also, or somebody here as a marketer can take as a insight for that?
I hate to break it to you, but like what all the things that I did at Inked when I tried to do them at Adweek straight up didn't work. And I was like pretty sad about it. And then I got scared because I was like, oh my God, did Adweek only hire me to do that? And I like can't replicate it. And I'll explain why. I think we were very early to TikTok, which is why with this whole blue sky thing, like I wouldn't wait a year to go on it if it's starting to blow up. But um we were I think it was like the end of 2020, beginning of 2021. And we were one of the first big brands and media companies on TikTok. And I had the idea to do this mini mic question and answer on the street style video. And I'm not joking, they didn't exist on TikTok yet. I remember when I pitched the idea, I had to go to a YouTube page. And I remember this guy would ask people what music they were listening to, but it was like a horizontal, like 10-minute YouTube video or 3-minute YouTube video. Like they just didn't happen on TikTok yet. And we actually went to like Union Square and Washington Square Park before all the TikTokers were there, which like now I'm kind of embarrassed about. But I think that so like right place, right time, right idea honestly worked because it was a new format type on the platform that people weren't sick of seeing yet. And also with Inked, people love tattoos. People with tattoos are interesting. Tattoos have funny or sad or crazy stories behind them, and the people who have tattoos are generally quite fun. And then I could replicate that with our magazine. So we had like celebrities on the cover or tattoo artists. The office was behind a tattoo studio, so I was like going and talking to all the tattoo artists and getting their hot takes, asking about their tattoos, asking their clients about tattoos. So it just really lent itself very well for the space and the platform and the types of videos we were making. I also we were very intentional with the questions we were asking. And I often will have like a 2 or 3 minute interview just for it to be cropped down to 20 seconds of the best part. It does help to like get to know somebody a little bit and have a longer interview that doesn't even make it the final cut. Or if it's really good, you can cut it down into a million different pieces. But I think that also helps us to like be a little bit patient, and also just knowing the right social editing of like, it's not great to start the video like, "Hi, I'm Sami Lambert. I'm here at Inked Magazine. I can't wait to talk to this person about this." The video would start, "What's the craziest tattoo that you have? Do you have a tattoo that you regret?" And they would immediately start talking. And I wasn't even in any of the videos. So
Mm-hmm.
I tried doing that with ADWEEK, and we still do that. And the best content I've had that I've gotten like millions of views have been interview question answer content that I'm not in, that also starts with like a pretty good question and has a pretty good answer. So it's worked for the most part, but it's not nearly as scalable as it was at Inked. So I wish I had a better answer.
Okay.
But those videos usually work still.
Definitely. So when you talk about like your best performing content at Int or at AdWeek as well, I think most of the marketers here, and I personally would definitely want to understand what does your best performing content look like, and how do you kind of measure the success of any content or like the impact on social media of any industry conference? What are the KPIs or the metrics? How does the postmortem looks like?
KPIs for me are just vibes. Vibes. If it has a good vibe, if it has a lot of likes and comments, I'm like, that for me is good enough. But obviously, that's not how working for a corporate company works. So, yeah, if you can quote me too, social KPIs should just be vibes. But I usually look at engagement. If it's not a post that was made for a specific reason, like a website referral or a subscription or a event ticket sale. I think have been our best performing posts. Haven't been one that have call to actions or links in them. They've been organic short form videos that are usually quite fun, usually with the celebrity. Unfortunately, those just work better. And it's like very clear that they were very well performed because they still get engagement like months and months later, and they have millions of views and hundreds of thousands of likes. Is it replicable every day? Absolutely not. Does it always mean that every single person who's liking and commenting on that video is actually a fan of the brand and they end up following us and subscribing to our like newsletter and magazine? No, but I do think in terms of actual social content, that's by far our best performing social content. And will some of those people end up following us? Yes, not all million of them, but some of them will. And I think if you keep focusing on doing content like that, it's hard to prove the ROI on any of that. But if you give it enough time and enough trust in your social team, you will see results. It's just always not um, as trackable as I would like it to be, honestly.
Okay, I think all the senior management people need to hear it right here that, okay, it might not be exactly as measurable as we might think always with social, right? Okay. So with that, there is very important part that I would now definitely want to cover. That is AI, a buzzword, and now it's being associated with social media all across the internet. We see that AI is being integrated from our copywriting to our post creation, video making, even our social platforms as well. So I would want to know your perspective. Like, is AI going to be there in social media in the coming years, and or AI going to be doing the job of SMMs? So, or what kind of trends do you think will emerge in the social media coverage with AI?
There's so much AI junk on social right now. It's like kind of ridiculous. And it's kind of the thing that like my parents might believe, which is really scary. And also, there's not enough media literacy right now for young people and in schools. And that really scares me when there's so much misinformation in terms of even like text information, news information, pictures, videos. It's really scary. And that's where my brain first go when I want to answer this question about AI. I don't think there's enough regulation. I don't think people know what they're doing. However, I can't lie, we're using AI every day in social, and it's actually making my job way easier when I have things like automated captions. When there's platforms that will like cut down videos, horizontal videos to vertical videos. You can tell it I saw this platform, I haven't started using it yet, but I want to, where you can submit a horizontal video. I could submit like a session video from an event, 30 minutes, and you say, can you pick out the best part of this video and make it vertical and put captions on it? And it'll do that. And for me, that's so much work. That's like not using my brain of just watching something back again and cropping and captioning. And I think for that reason, AI will be extremely helpful. Same like if you use Canva, Canva has amazing AI tools that are really, really going to help us. And I think they're going to make us be able to be more creative. But I think the goal is then, and what you guys should all try to do is actually be more creative. Like if we're going to free up this time that we're spending just like cropping and doing this and doing that and putting captions, whatever, and writing basic copy, then we really are going to have to push ourselves to up the creativity and up the originality, or else everything is just going to look and sound the same. And that's not going to be what social media is for. I wish Yeah, I wish we thought about all this more before just releasing the tool into the universe. Um, so yeah, I think it's unavoidable. I think we're all currently using it and are gonna use it, but I'm very afraid of what social media will actually look like when there's so much AI generated content online. And I think we need to use it in a way where we can free ourselves up to be more creative and not just get replaced by some robot who's gonna just write generic social copy.
think I think you have just said exactly what other marketers would think or would want to listen, definitely. The way you have break down things is amazing. So now we have a lot more questions from our audience, and I would definitely want you to answer them. So one of them is that, is there any tool that can help you to generate social media content very quickly? So what kind of like tools do you use to quickly generate content? Maybe I think in terms of copy or captions, the person or maybe in terms of ideas, anything.
Mm. I mean, I'm a huge Canva girl. I think it's really great if you need to like create content from nothing. Um, Image-based, video-based, all of that. You could do presentation polls using tools like SocialPilot, listening features. You can get a lot of content ideas from social listening, from listening to
Right.
what your audience is saying in your comment, or from finding similar themes or keywords and looking across the internet about what people are talking about that's similar to your brand. Social listening is extremely helpful, and a lot of these platforms have amazing social listening tools. So I would use those. I don't know if this is like answering the question, but I hope that's
Yeah,
what you,
definitely.
yeah,
Definitely. I
yeah.
think social listening is one of the most important parts, and there are specific tools also, I think, for social listening, which people can use. And there are community platforms like Reddit, I think, which is incredibly great to use in kind of understand what is going around. So I think that can help. Maybe that answers your question, right? So there is one more interesting question. It's basically related to the inspirations to get for social media. So the person is asking that what companies do you follow to have fresh ideas? So any brands that you particularly like to follow or any people you particularly like to follow, something like that.
Um, HubSpot's LinkedIn is really good. It's hard to do B2B marketing, and they have a really fresh, innovative approach to doing B2B. Mark Jacobs's influencer strategy is like next level insane. I like need to talk to their team. They're doing such a good job. Um, I would also, I mean, the classics like Duolingo, obviously killing it. Zari on that team really spearheaded like an entire new way of doing TikTok for a brand that would probably not normally show up that way on TikTok. So that's always fun. Um, I don't know. I have a million ideas. I love the Bratz Instagram page. I follow a lot of other media brands because that's the industry that I'm in, and I also love reading. So like The Cut does a really good job, Essence does a really good job. Um, I don't know. I have a million. Like you're talking about like brands on social, or like where to get inspiration just on the internet? I don't know.
Okay, I think maybe you can also answer the perspective of how to get inspiration through internet for socials. something like that?
I follow a lot of newsletters, Substacks. Link in Bio by Rachel is really good. After School is like a Gen Z one. Feed Me by Emily Sundberg is really good. Substack is like my new favorite thing, and having these like curated um, either information or lists or articles coming directly to my inbox that I can just go through every day has been like insanely helpful, both for inspiration and also for educational purposes. There's a lot of social media ones, marketing ones, but also like lifestyle, culture. Like, remember to go outside the bubble, because if you're always thinking about social media and hearing from social media managers, you forget that when you're posting, most of the people who are going to see your posts are not social media managers or in the social world, just like a regular person. And your post is showing up in between like a picture of someone's cat, their mom's birthday, an influencer. Like, they're not thinking about the post like we're thinking about it, you know? So it's sometimes good to like take a step back and remember that, and like consume some culture and some things online that are not like for made by social media people for social media people, if that makes sense. Oh wait, you're on mute.
Definitely, definitely. That was a great insight. I'll just take one last question before we kind of wrap up this session. Others, please do not feel that we have not answered your questions. I will have all the questions with me and we'll definitely get back to you on your email addresses. So don't worry, we'll answer all your questions definitely. So the last question is that what is your advice for someone going into social media newly, especially techniques that are must?
Advice would be, I don't know, get ready to always be on your phone. No, I would definitely familiarize yourself with brands and agencies that are doing a really good job on social. Really pay attention to what's good about what they're doing. Um, Even the nitty-gritty of like, what's their social copy like, what's the voice and tone of their page, how often are they posting, who are they working with, how are they replying to comments, like really really pay attention and kind of find the similarities between them. I would say start subscribing to these Substacks. They really help. Spend a lot of time on LinkedIn. There's a lot of social media professionals who work for your favorite companies who are very active on LinkedIn. Connect with them, follow them. They're giving advice all the time, and they're posting a lot of like internship programs and new job opportunities. And it's like a good community to be a part of. Like, I feel very supported and inspired by all the people that I've met on there. And I feel like when you work in social, you have a certain set of like problems and also wins and losses that only other people who work in social understand. Like, my friends in real life don't real I can't even talk to them about all this stuff because they think I just like am like posting on Instagram for work. So it's really nice to feel like you're part of a community who really gets it. So I would definitely start like using LinkedIn like another, if you're not like, I scroll on LinkedIn now like it's Instagram. Like, even I'm noticing like when I'm not at work, I'll just be taking a scroll because it's like, oh, those are like people I kind of know who are posting cool things. So I would definitely do that more too, and reach out to people and talk to them and ask them questions. I think it always helps. I always, and yeah, if any of you guys like add me on LinkedIn, if you ever have any questions or I didn't answer your questions, like please ask. And I always am down to do like coffee chats and just talk in general about the industry. So do that with me and with other people that you like, the brands that they're working for. Usually they're pretty open.
I think that was a great wrap for this webinar. And I think everybody who has joined here has really enjoyed talking to you. Personally, I have learned a lot with this session. We have got a great questions list, and I would definitely need your help to answer these questions later,
For
right?
sure.
But with the time crunch and everything, we need to definitely drop right now. But there are a few things that I would like to make an announcement to everyone. Do follow us on this Slack community that I've dropped in the chat box. This will help you to get connected with Social Pilot and the latest updates on our upcoming webinars. We are coming up with a Meta webinar where we'll have speakers from Meta talking about how to grow your business on threads and much more. So stay tuned with us in the Slack community. Don't forget to join it. And if you enjoyed and learned something from this webinar today, don't forget to mention us on LinkedIn by sharing a post or a screenshot of this webinar. Tag Social Pilot and Sami, definitely. Sami, if you want, I'll just drop your LinkedIn account as well in the chat box,
Drop
right?
it.
So
Drop me
that
in there.
definitely, definitely. So don't forget to tag Sami and also Social Pilot.
Thanks, guys. This was so fun. And I feel like it's so weird to not see everyone who is watching, but thank you all for listening for so long. Can't imagine listening to me for that long, but I hope this was helpful. I'm sorry to like prepare anything or have examples, but truly reach out to me if you have follow-up questions or ideas or want to chat about anything. Also, like if you love social media, come to Social Media Week. It's like the best event ever. Um, and yeah, it's so much fun. I was like, oh my God, am I gonna be able to talk for this long about everything? But it was so, I could talk even longer. It was so easy.
And it was really amazing. It was a pleasure talking to you, Sami. Thank you so much for joining with Social Pilot for this webinar. And thank you. Thank you for your time. And it was
Thank
amazing.
you. You guys are the best. Thank you. Bye, everyone.
Okay,
Have a good
thanks.
day. See you online.
Bye bye.